RO, UV, MF, UF, alkaline, pH, what the hell do you buy? Are you really sure you have the right water purifier? If you see the many pages of the many water purifiers that are available, there are so many different technologies to choose from. But what is the right technology that is right for you, for your house, for the water conditions in your house? Let's take a look at that in today's video. Today's video is not going to be a comparison video. This is going to be a series of 3 to 4 videos because each one deserves their own. Today's video, I will help you decide which technology is right for you, and then based on that you can jump to the right video if you need an RO water purifier or a UV, UF and so on. But I have already done my research, so I have linked to the best water purifiers in each of these categories in the description if you'd like to go ahead and purchase. Let's take a minute to try to understand these various technologies. I'm not going to go into too much of scientific detail because everybody gets bored of it. I do as well. But you need to know the basics just to make the right choice of water purifier for your home. First is the RO technology or the reverse osmosis technology. Now this technology is used to remove hardness in water. It is also used to remove bacteria, viruses and other contaminants in your water. But the biggest problem with the RO is that it does remove the essential minerals from the water as well, which essentially then makes the water useless. It also makes the water acidic, which can be detrimental to health. There are technologies that you need to add on to the RO water purifier to make sure that the water is consumable. And RO water purifiers remove the maximum amount of contaminants from water, up to 0.0001 microns. And that's the best in this category. Next is UV or ultraviolet, which kills bacteria and viruses from the water, but it does not remove it from the water. Next is ultrafiltration or UF. This removes suspended particles from water but does not kill bacteria and viruses. If you are using it in conjunction with UV, so UV will kill the bacteria and virus, and UF will then remove that bacteria and virus that still is floating around in the water. The next technology is MF or microfiltration. Now this is one step lower than ultrafiltration, and this removes particles only up to 0.1 microns, and it only filters bacteria but does not filter out viruses. Next you would hear something like alkaline balance or pH level balance in the water purifiers. What is this? Alkaline filters or pH balance are used to, like the name suggests, balance the pH levels in water from being too acidic or too alkaline. Typically when you do use an RO water purifier, it makes the water a lot more acidic. And for that reason, whenever you're using RO water purifier, you need to make sure that there is an alkaline or a pH balance available with that water purifier. Now that we have discussed the basics of the various technologies, let's jump right into what is the right water purifier for you. First, what do you purchase if you have hard water in your area? Typically, if you're getting water from bore wells or tankers or it's a mixed water, your TDS levels will be higher than 200 parts per million. Now, what is TDS? TDS actually determines what are the total number of dissolved salts in your water. It could include various salts, calcium, magnesium and other minerals in the water. Too much of a concentration of that is not good, and that's why you need to bring down your TDS levels to less than 200. WHO recommends that drinking water should have a TDS level of less than 200 parts per million. How do you measure the TDS? You get a lot of TDS meters in the market for 200 to 50 rupees. I've linked to a few in the description. If you have a TDS of less than 200 ppm, a UV or a UF or a combination of UV+UF filter is sufficient for you. If you have a TDS of 200 to 500, depending on whose standards you want to go with, you may need an RO or a UV and UF filter. The Bureau of Indian Standards or BIS states that up to 500 ppm is okay for drinking water. If your TDS is above 500, then definitely you need an RO water purifier. Do you need a UV plus UF combination or just a UV or just a UF? Right? So you get water purifiers in each of these categories. So like I mentioned earlier, UV kills bacteria and viruses and UF only filters out bacteria and viruses. So normally you would need a combination of both UV and UF unless you're using a gravity filter, which only then comes in a UF filter. So my recommendation is whenever possible, try to use a UV plus a UF filter. So do you need an RO plus UV plus UF filter? RO also kills bacteria and viruses. So RO plus UV may be a redundant combination. But if you want to filter out those bacteria and viruses, you definitely would require a UF. I think what's more important is that you need to make sure that your RO filter also has an alkaline or a pH balance available with it. Are there any ongoing costs? Definitely yes. Especially when it comes to an RO water purifier, the ongoing costs are significantly higher. You need to change the filters in an RO water purifier every 6 to 7 months, and that is the sediment filter and the carbon filter. And you need to also change your RO membrane every year or so. Now the filters are available between 500 to 1000 rupees based on which model that you purchase, but the RO membrane is extremely expensive. It's about 2,500, right? So your ongoing cost for an RO water purifier on an annual basis will be anywhere upwards of 4,000 rupees. Compared to that, a UV+UF filter has much lower ongoing costs. The UV filters need to be changed again in the same frequency once in 6 to 7 months, but they are a lot cheaper. Since it does not have an RO membrane, the majority of the filtration cost is reduced. And UV+UF filters are also a lot cheaper than RO filters from an upfront cost point of view. So what do you do if you do not have a continuous supply of electricity or water in your area? Both RO as well as UV filters require a continuous supply of electricity and water for a period of time when it is doing its filtration. If you have a continuous supply of over half an hour, so that should be sufficient to fill the tank of your RO or your UV water filter. If you do not have a continuous supply of water, then you might want to select a UF water filter, which is typically gravity based. So you fill the top tank and then you get filtered water in the bottom tank. How much time does the filtration take? RO water purifiers are slower. They filter about 20 liters per hour, whereas a UV+UF water purifier filters at a pace of about 30 liters per hour. So you may have also heard that RO wastes a lot of water. That is absolutely true. Almost 80% and upwards of water gets wasted when you are using an RO water purifier. And that's the reason, like I said earlier as well, unless it's absolutely required, you don't need to purchase an RO water purifier. There are no wastages when it comes to UV and UF water filters. These days, RO water purifiers come with almost a zero wastage or a green RO water purifier, but really all they're doing is collecting the water separately and saying that you can use that water for other things, like washing vessels for your plants. Now, in my opinion, the concentration of salts is significantly high in that water and should not be used especially for your plants. Even for washing vessels, you may want to wash it using that, but at the end, you should make sure that you rinse it with water that is lower TDS. Definitely can be used for flushing in my opinion. So what size of water purifier should you purchase? Now, if you do have a continuous supply of electricity and water, the size of the water purifier does not matter, because as soon as the tank is nearing empty, the water purifier refills itself. But if you live in an area where water supply and power supply is sporadic, then you might want to pick up a water purifier that has significant capacity compared to the number of people that are there in your house. Assuming that each person of the family drinks 2 to 4 liters of water, if you have up to 4 people in your house, you at least need a water purifier of about 6 to 8 liters. Anything above that, you might want to pick a water purifier with an 8+ liter capacity. So do water purifiers change the water color as well as the taste of the water? Now, typically if you have hard water in your area, the water has a very funky taste. So RO water purifiers do change the taste of the water, making it a lot better, especially in areas where the TDS levels are higher. UV and UF water purifiers do not change the taste or the color of water. What are under the sink water purifiers? Under the sink water purifiers are nothing but RO water purifiers that are placed under the sink rather than wall mounted, so that you can hide the water purifiers. They come with an extra tap for water outlet right next to your sink. If you would like a comparison of an under the sink RO water purifier with a regular water purifier, drop me a comment. So to summarize, if you have hard water in your area and a TDS of over 200 ppm, then you may want to go with an RO water purifier which also has alkaline and pH balance. If the water in your area is less than 200 ppm, then a UV+UF combination is enough for your usage. Remember to factor in the cost of filter change and maintenance when you are purchasing your water purifier. I hope this was useful in helping you decide which water purifier to purchase. Drop me a comment which one you are planning to purchase. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.